Welcome to Fortune and Glory, the cliffhanger game, the reminder video.
This video is a reminder video. It assumes that you already know how to play Fortune and Glory, and it's just a reminder in case it's been a while since you've played. If you don't know how to play Fortune and Glory, I have a walkthrough series of several episodes that go through all the rules of the game and all the different variants. While the rule book is the definitive guide for answering all questions, I have created a reference guide that makes it easy to understand the skill tests and the different elements within the game. So it's organized by topic, and I put it on BoardGameGeek.
Setup for the competitive game forms the basis for setup for all the other games, so we'll start with that.
For the setup, get out the map and all the cards. Also get out all tokens, dice, and figures.
Don't forget that there are special cards that are double-sided for fighting the enemies. There are 3 of them if you have the Order of the Crimson Hand extension. There are 2 of them if you have the base game. Major City Epic Events, personal missions, and dock tokens are not part of the base game, but are part of the extensions and can be used if you want them, but they're not necessary. Each player should select a hero card and a figure and place the hero in the starting location shown on the card. Now draw the artifact and adventure card. Read the flavor text for the adventure card. Then place the artifact on top of the adventure card. Draw a location card and choose a set of skulls. Place one of the skulls on the artifact and place the other skull on the location where the artifact resides. Make sure to check the location to see if it has a deep jungle marker, because that affects the setup. Don't forget to put the 2 extra fortune on the artifact. Do that until you have 4 artifacts placed. Make sure each player has a gameplay reminder card. Of course, make sure you have your dice available for your skill checks. The Zeppelin is an optional element in the cooperative and team games. You place it in a random location by drawing one of the location cards. The Zeppelin card has the information that describes how the Zeppelin works. On the back of the card is the War Zeppelin that's used in the cooperative and solo versions when you're playing with the Nazis. Like the regular Zeppelin, you'll place it randomly on the board using the location cards. For the cooperative and solo options, first, select a vile organization, the Mob, the Nazis, or the Order of the Crimson Hand. Then get out the tactics tile associated with the vile organization and make sure that you read the instructions on both sides of the tiles. Next, get out the villain track and the villain track marker and place the marker on space 0. Notice that on page 22 there is a chart that shows you the number of villains that you will be playing with and the fortune that you'll need to gain in order to win the game. It also shows you the villain level, that if they achieve that, they win the game. Shuffle the villain cards and place them to the side to form a draw deck. Based on the vile organization, choose 2 or 3 villains as shown on the chart and place them out on the table. Take the figure associated with the first villain and place them at the artifact with the highest fortune and lowest danger. For the second villain, place their figure on the ready status. If you have a third villain, place their figure on the delayed status. Now that you've completed your setup, you're ready to play the game. You can refer to the reference sheet in order to know the differences between the cooperative game, the competitive game, team game, or solo game, as well as understanding the specifics of any of the skill tests and the different rules. However, the last thing that I will go through on this video is some of the basic skill tests so that you can remember how they work.
Basic skill checks. The basic skill test is shown by this kind of symbology. Each hero has a skill level on their chart showing the number of dice that they can roll to pass the test. The word shows the skill that needs to be tested. The number shows the value that is needed for success, plus it means that value or greater. And the X symbol shows the number of successes that are required. As long as at least 1 die is successful in the roll, you can continue the test. You can place markers down on the card to show the number of successes and then roll again. If there are still successes required and yet your dice do not meet the passing value, then you have failed the test. For the danger cards, you must flip it over and go to the cliffhanger. Red X's mean that the test is a deadly test. This means that all successes must be achieved in a single roll. On deadly tests, you can double exert, which means that you spend 2 wounds for each extra die that you roll, and that can be done after you see the initial results. On cliffhangers and escape tests, you can single exert, which means that you take 1 wound for every die that you want to add to the roll. For fight tests, heroes and villains use their combat skill, and enemies use their fight dice. The white and green colored dice makes it easy to separate the heroes from the enemies. During a fight, you will hit with a 4, 5, or 6. However, defense blocks 1 hit. During a sneak test, the hero will pick a number that they think that the enemy will not roll. The enemy will then roll the number of dice that are shown in their search skill. The hero is found for every die that matches the number that the hero chose. Typically, that means that they will have to fight the villain 1 round for each die that was found. The bottom corner of ally cards shows their loyalty level. If they need to pass a loyalty test, the loyalty test will show you the value that needs to be rolled in order to be successful. The hero will then roll the number of dice matching the loyalty level. If at least one of the die matches the level for success for the loyalty test, then the loyalty test is passed. An event card is drawn if you roll a 1 during the initiative phase or the move phase. In the solo game, you don't have an initiative phase, so instead you roll 2 dice during the movement phase and you choose which die you want to use. If one of those dice is a 1 and you decide to use it, then you draw an event card. If you roll double 1s, you draw 2 event cards. If you roll doubles of any other kind, you draw 1 event card. If you finish your movement on a land or sea space that is not an adventure site, then you roll a single dice, and if you roll a 4, 5, or a 6, you draw an event card. If you roll a 1, then you must immediately draw an enemy card and fight that enemy. D6 damage means that you take the amount of wounds equal to the value shown on the die rolled. D3 damage means that you take half of the damage shown by the dice, rounded up. Using the revised tempo rules, whenever you must face a cliffhanger, you roll the number of dice equal to the danger level of the temple, and for every 4, 5, or 6 that you roll, you must place a collapse token on the temple. When the number of collapse tokens equals or exceeds the danger level of the temple collapses, and all heroes must escape, and villains and acolytes are removed from the board. Recall that heroes can exert when trying to escape. When villains are adventuring at an artifact site, they roll the number of dice equal to their search value minus the number of heroes that are in play, and then for every 4, 5, or 6 that they roll, they add a danger token if it's a normal artifact, or gain a fortune if it's a temple, and they gain a wound for every 1 that they roll. Whenever a hero is adventuring at the same site that a villain exists, they must use a sneak test to get past the villain. For every die that the hero is found, they must fight the villain 1 round. Whenever a hero is adventuring in a deep jungle, they first add a deep jungle token to the artifact and roll the number of dice equal to the number of deep jungle tokens on the artifact. If they are a roll of 4, 5, or 6, they're successful in finding the artifact. If, however, they roll a 1, 2, or 3, they're unsuccessful and their turn ends. On their next turn, they can add another exploration token and try again by rolling the number of dice equal to the number of tokens. They continue in this way until they find the artifact and can begin adventuring, or until they walk away. Villains and acolytes do not have to search for artifacts in Deep Jungle. We assume that they've already found it. During the end phase, acolytes gain 1 automatic success at normal artifacts or gain 1 fortune at temple artifacts. When seeking to attack a dark sanctuary or to sneak aboard a zeppelin, whether it be the regular zeppelin or war zeppelin, You must actually choose 2 numbers during the sneak test. They must fight an enemy for every die that found the hero. So, for example, on the Zeppelin, they would fight Nazi soldiers, and they'd fight the Order of the Crimson Hand when trying to attack the Dark Sanctuary.
So I hope you found this video helpful and you enjoy playing Fortune and Glory, the cliffhanger game.